This is The Art of Startup War, and I am your sensei, Brian McMahon. Now, in Season 1 and 2, I got inside the minds of startup investors. In Season 3, I brought in entrepreneurs to share their startup journey. Here, in Season 4, we combine both so you can hear investors critique the investment value proposition of individual companies. You're going to hear how investors make decisions to invest in startups, what makes a great entrepreneur, and how billion-dollar companies are built. So tune in every Tuesday, 10 a.m. on all the major platforms. You can empower your tribe by sharing the podcast, and remember to subscribe, rate, review, and leave us a comment. Good morning, it's 10 o'clock, it's Tuesday morning. Today, you of course have got Alex and Brian in the fridge because without Alex, there is no investor to see if an investment is possible. But we also have Michael from Tuka. Michael, welcome.
Thank you, Brian. Happy to be here.
Tell us all about the story of Tuka.
The story.
Tuka's a good name, actually. Tuka.
Tuka.
It sticks with you.
Well, I'll reveal the origin of that as we go along. Tuka is an online platform for sharing, curating, and marketing original, tangible, creative content.
So creating, sharing, and marketing original, tangible content. Give me an example.
An example?
What would I put there? Would I put this podcast there? Because it's original content?
Our original target market is music content.
Okay.
But in the digital world, we don't anticipate there's any barriers to accommodating all kinds of different content, such as video, print media, podcasts, images, and the like.
But
even gaming.
The first niche is music.
Yes, the first. We have to start somewhere, and so we're starting with music.
Is it like Patreon in some ways? Because they tick some of those boxes, right? You can monetize the content as well.
Right. Yes, it's similar in the sense that Patreon addresses what we see as one part of the problem,
which is that the musician is trying to monetize the music and the great creations that they're bringing out to the world.
Yes. I'll just segue as we converse here. The difference from something like Patreon is that Patreon and a lot of the solutions up to digital disruption focus on the value of the content. And the problem with the information age is there's too much information. And in the content world, that means there's too much content. And the great supply of content means it's driven the price down to almost nothing, almost to the zero bound. And it's made search and discovery much more costly and difficult. So Patreon does focus on trying to monetize the content.
It's all about the money. It's like, hey, you're a great artist, you do a really good thing. So if you've got lots of fans, you're finally going to kind of donate. So it's somewhere between a rewards-based platform
but it's completely open. You don't have. It doesn't matter what your format is. It's completely open.
Right. But the problem with that is that from an artist point of view, well, I'm not selling $25 albums anymore. I'm selling 99 cent songs. So I've lost, that much value. And so how am I going to survive selling what I used to sell for $25 for 99 cents?
And how do you fix that?
And not even getting a large share of that because of the distribution.
I agree, but how do you fix that? Because some of that is the natural. I mean, I don't want to say terrible, but I kind of in some ways feel it's terrible that I've seen artists go from being able to earn tremendous amounts of money for bringing their art to the world to today finding it very challenging to make anything at all.
Yes. Well, I think you have to kind of flip this on its head. It's no longer about the price of content. It's about what content does for you. And what content does in the digital world is it builds out networks that are valuable in other ways. So you spin off value because I'm able to put together a audience or a peer network, we call it, of maybe hundreds of thousands or millions of people who actually would consume my content, but more important, they consume a lot of other things that are related to my content.
Okay.
So who's the user? Who's the customer?
The customer is anybody who enjoys consuming music, or in music in our case right now. So listening, if you would, anticipate buying music or streaming it or some way accessing it and consuming it, then you need to have a connection to an artist who's creating it.
I'm asking a slightly more direct question, which is the customer the person who's creating the music? Is the customer the end user? Is the customer a label? Who do you foresee as carrying the burden of cost for this enterprise?
Well, what we have here is we are making a connection between the creator and the consumer. So that's what we're facilitating.
So
they're
B2B2C.
both customers. Yeah, they're both customers, as you would think in the traditional sense. Okay, and as using that network, that social network, when you connect people, then you spin off value to say, well, who wants access to that network?
And when you're building Tuka at the moment, who are you focusing on? Are you focusing on onboarding artists, or are you focusing on onboarding end users?
Onboarding artists, because artists are feeling the pain points. Consumers are not feeling the pain points today. Artists are feeling the pain points, and they have a connection to their audiences, and they are going to have to bring their audiences to the platform, not exclusively, but initially where it says, well, I make money here, I don't make money over there.
So I want you to speak to us directly. Yes. So Alex and I have got a boy band. Okay. I'm the handsome.
It's a terrible boy band. It's one that people pay not to hear, unfortunately.
Okay. So we're a boy band. We have 2,000 fans on our Facebook page. We have more or less 20, 30 people a day who are coming through to our website. We have our music up on our website because we have it on SoundCloud, and we have it on a couple of other methodologies in YouTube and a few other platforms to get it out. You come to us and you say, beautiful boys, because it's the name of our band, this is why you have got to come on Tuka. So give us a pitch, because I think that will visualize the entire picture.
All right. If you are doing all of those things, now you're kind of aware of how much time and energy that all that takes. Okay. It takes away from your ability to actually create music to play. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the other thing is because you have to actually promote and market everything you do, because the PR departments and the A&R departments of music have pretty much disappeared because there's no money to spin off to say, let's develop the beautiful boy band for the next 5 years. There's nothing there. They say, you develop yourself. And if you become a star, then we'll sign you to a record deal and we'll take most of the money. But we will at least, have an investment in you. So the problem here is that the disruption of this whole industry means that you're not creating much music and you're not making much money. But you are doing a lot of Facebook and this and Instagram and SoundCloud and all that kind of thing. What I'm offering you is that Tuka, the platform of Tuka users will do that for you, because you will pay them as they help you succeed with tokens. And you don't have to pay out tokens to them, crypto tokens, until it actually leads to sales transactions for you.
So how big is the platform right now of users?
The platform of users has not been built out. We're dealing with an MVP of the
Let's rewind to the beginning of that.
Sure.
At the moment. What have you built so far, and who are you targeting?
Okay, I have a team of developers and 2 designers. So we've built out the basic UI design and the UX. And the developers now, who are graduate students at USC, are in the process of building this. On the other side of who I'm going to target is basically a community of artists, musical artists, with songwriters.
Sorry, it's a website you're building, not an app, right?
Yes, it's a website.
Okay.
It's a web-based platform right now, and we've also naturally paying attention to mobile. The mobile.
And are you the CTO yourself, or do you have a CTO?
No. I'm not the CTO. I'm the CEO. And one problem is I have sort of virtual CTOs, and I need to be able to create some value, because CTOs are very hard to come by.
I'm going to say something.
Co-founders.
I'm going to say something, and I think we're on a roll today of agreeing. But I think Alex is going to agree with me, because he said it earlier
First time
on.
ever.
Yeah, he said it earlier on. So I'm going to copy what he says and then just see if I can get acceptance. There are ways to find CTOs, and building the website without having the CTO directing it is tough. It's very tough because, look, I have built a terrible website before, thinking that I can build a website because my user experience for me in the real world, I'm actually really good at. But user experience online is an entirely different world. Yeah. And building all of those mazes and funnels and tunnels and rivers and everything that creates that beautiful city that you're going to have of Tuka is incredibly difficult to do unless you have somebody who really understands human-centric experience. Would you agree?
I'm going to simplify that statement. It's horrible to engage an architect after you've already built your house.
We sort of addressed that because General Assembly basically assigned a team of UI, UX designers.
You can fake it.
How did you do that? How did you get them to do that? That's very good, by the way.
They contacted me because they had heard about the idea and they said, this sounds like something we'd really like our team of designers to do for their project. And so if you're interested, please come in. And I think one of the designers I had met at one of the GA, I guess presentations of graduate presentations or something like that. And he wanted to work with me, yes. And but he needed to make money. So I said, well, go find a job and then see if you want to, reconnect.
Very good. So in the short term, you're going to get a strong group of GA people. They are actually creating the entire wireframes, are they?
They did all the UX research. So they did a lot of UX research.
Dang,
and then they did a whole bunch of design. And then two of them that's really spun off from the project did a whole bunch of more design for me because they wanted to do it like Instagram and they were very familiar with the UX design. But they did an incredible amount of work for interviewing and dealing with...
No, listen, this is the best of all worlds. If you can get GA to do it in one of their end of 12-week programs, that's amazing. And so then what? You then got USC, you got the kids in the school to actually build
USC has been a very good place for recruiting. Viterbi Graduate School of Engineering at USC has like 6,000 students. And they all are looking for things. Oh, I just I'm from UCLA. I was a UCLA professor, so I went to UCLA. I went to the local university. I said, I'm looking for developers that graduate from graduate programs that can work with me.
And of course, they put you in direct contact with them.
Yes, and well, Viterbi is very free? Well. Oh yes.
Funny, I like how Michael rolls. Actually, this is good. So we've got General interns, Assembly doing the UX. I mean, you're managing to do things with a really tight stroke zero budget.
There's a lot of discussion in startup about faking it until you make it. Yes. And this is exactly how you pull that together. You use the best expertise around you in order to emulate what it is that you need. And you're doing it in a very interesting fashion.
Yes.
The concern from an investor standpoint, as you well know, is continuity. That you have someone who's able to understand what's been put together to date and iterate on it. And as long as the manuals are being written correctly, which GA are very good at, and I'm sure your USC students are also very good at this point, then I don't think you have an issue. But it's about bringing in, as soon as humanly possible, your dream CTO, someone who can actually see this for you.
Yes, and I felt that I've talked to a few people through Angels List and things like that, but CTOs are in high demand. They feel like they can always make money right up front. So convincing them to say, well, we may not make money for 3 years, you really have to.
But VCs and investors use that as a benchmark as to how serious your business is. If you're non-technical and you've not been able to align a CTO, there's a red flag for someone.
Yeah, and you can also do it. Look, you've done this really well so far. You can do the same thing with the CTO. You can say to the CTO, look, if I don't raise any money, you should not work for me. Right? There is a guarantee. But if I do raise money, then I will build into that money a salary that I'm going to pay you, by the way, and a salary that I'm going to pay me. So I don't need you to start now. I don't need you to do much work, maybe some little bits and pieces so that you can show some commitment, but not much. And then just tell me if you like this project enough that if I raise $500,000 or more, will you be prepared to join the team? If the answer is yes, you can immediately add that person on the presentation. Fair?
Yeah.
I've done it before.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So very fair. So you definitely want. So would start that discussion now, because the absence, you've done amazing, but the absence of a CTO is going to hinder the investment conversations.
But I'm not, drifting around on my own here. I actually am in a Bixel program, accelerated program at run by the LA Chamber of Commerce.
Yep, know them well.
And so I have a virtual CTO who is a former Microsoft executive who mentors there.
It's
so
good.
He is my mentor.
But Alex is talking to something very different.
Yeah.
I'm talking about creating narrative.
Yeah. So look, what you're doing actually, like tick in the box, tick in the box, tick in the box. There's no judgment here. Like not only have you done great with Bixnell, I really like those folks. You don't have to give away any equity or anything for that, so it's really good. But you've also done great with General Assembly, and you've done great with USC. What Alex is talking about is the next stage, which is nobody cares about virtual CTOs, nobody cares about like General Assembly end of classes. The only thing investors care about, if it is a two-sided platform, whereby the integrity of that platform is absolutely everything.
Yes.
Nobody would put substantial investment in without knowing that that CTO area has been ticked. So he's just suggesting right now, throw some ads on LinkedIn, put some jobs up
I like
on
to do this differently.
AngelList.
Yes.
My recommendation is create a dream list of people that you want to work with. Don't scrape the bottom of the barrel.
Yes.
Who are the people in this industry that you respect, and speak to them. The worst they can say is, I'm busy, but you should speak to this person. When I speak to any of the members of our cohort and they're saying, well, we're trying to find a technical person. I'm like, who do you want that technical person to actually be? Not what skill set do they want? What is the personality type? Who is the person that you need in this role in order to drive it to the next level? And if you can attract that person to your business, then you're on to a winner. That's the best advice that I can give you for free.
He's right. But I'm going to come at it from an Irish perspective, which is rather than using a barrel, I'm going to say a beer, right? You should take the froth from the top of the beer, but you should drink all of that sucker, right? So get your dream list, exactly what Alex said. But the reason that you got General Assembly, which has saved your ass because nothing else would be of value without having that to build the app, the reason you got it was because you hustled and you made sure that you were in a place with a designer who randomly turned into an introducer who randomly put you over there. So you just have to do the same thing with the CTO. Yes. You pick your dream list so they realize it's very targeted. Alex is 100% right. But I also think it's like, because it's so vital to your business, you put yourself in every place that you can actually touch anyone that's able to be that right CTO. And then you just make sure you say, okay, I'm not looking for somebody low level. I want someone high level, but everybody knows about it. Fair?
I'll agree with that. Yeah. There's no right way to do this. There's just the way that works for you.
Go in the middle, right? Okay, good. Now, the thing we care about is traction. So you can't do that yet because you're not built, but speak to us about when the platform is going to be built and then how you are going to deal with the biggest challenge with two-sided marketplaces, which is how do you get the users to make Beautiful Boys happy that our message is going to be passed. Getting us on the platform. I
love that our band name is still Beautiful Boys.
Of course. But like getting us on is easy, right? Because we're desperate. We got 2,000 people in our Facebook page. We got a website which isn't really working. We're going to be on stage. We got a few people coming to gigs. Anyone who tells us today that they can get more users, we're going to put ourselves there. The hard thing is getting value for us, which is going to make us want to either pay you money or stay on there. So look, if you can speak a bit to that.
Yes. I mean, onboarding onto a social network is the biggest challenge because actually it can be quite costly, quite long, and you burn maybe a high burn rate.
So let's talk about cost of customer acquisition. So have you started playing with it yet?
Not really. What I've done is networked with Berklee College of Music, the Los Angeles Songwriters Collective, the Musicians Institute in Hollywood, to say, I'm building tools that your people need.
Okay.
And so what I was really searching for is a group of beta testers.
Are they starting to provide you with names?
Yes. Not really names, but they said, well, you can come to here and you can meet people. So I've met people. It's not like they've released a list, but they said, well, can you show us what you're doing? And so it's more like, well, okay, yes, I see. I need to get this thing where I can actually demonstrate it.
Brian's going to get very bored of my comment,
yes.
which is okay. I keep
making. I like this.
Sure.
That's why I'm sitting back. I'm not saying anything. When do you ever hear me not saying anything?
It's true. I've got Brian quiet. I'm going to continue.
The Blarney Stoney.
And that is, right now is the best possible time for you to engage with as many questionnaires and as many people as humanly possible before you're spending money building. If you can get feedback on what it is that you're trying to build. The concepts around how it is that they engage over your platform with customers, all the different pieces of your business that are going to be driven entirely by your user, you need to speak to them about now. Questionnaires are much cheaper than MVPs. So if you can get mailing lists, if you can engage with students at the moment at the Berklee School of Music or at any other institution that you can find in the US where you seem to be getting good traction, I would do that. It doesn't cost you, it costs you time.
Yes.
And there's another, I'll recommend the same book again. I should now actually be charging to recommend this book, which is The Mum Test. It's a very, very quick read that helps you ask questions without biasing the answer set. I was very good early in my career at biasing the answer sets of questionnaires that I was putting out there. And of course I would get the right answers because I was writing the questions in exactly the right way for me to get the right answers, which was very good at convincing investors that I knew what I was talking about, but very bad at actually building platforms that were robust.
So a good example would be like, do you think you would enjoy this platform if you could bring more users to your company? 98% of everybody asked said they wanted to use our platform, but it comes down to the value. So what do you think about driving the users? Because it's not just us. Any accelerator that's going to look at your company right now is only going to have one question. Is he able to do it? Is he able to do the most challenging part of a two-sided marketplace, which is to bring in the users and keep them engaged? Are you able to make the people want to share the content that I have?
Within the niche that you're currently in.
Yeah.
And the niche that you're currently in, unfortunately, is very busy. And that's both we talk about this all the time. Are we scared of busy niches? No, if there's a different iteration on something that's valuable and provides a new methodology to those users, then I'm very much into that. But if it's a busy niche where you're competing directly with all of the incumbents, including now YouTube Music, you've got Spotify within the space, and you've got about 10 different iterations of new companies within the space. Is that where you want to be? Do you want to be fighting that battle, or do you want to find another niche that you want to attack in the first instance?
Well, we consider that a lot. I've considered it a lot. The design of this sort of platform is very much focused on how do you get people engaged. So especially online or in a social network. We have kind of a different approach where we have a portal that is a kind of what we call a discovery, a browser, where people can actually come and discover what they want by controlling how it's presented and how it's sorted. So it's kind of like a browser. Okay. And that and then you can sample. So the music, all content on our platform is just snippets. There's no full content. Everything is a decentralized peer-to-peer distribution network.
Understood.
Okay. So we don't have those storage problems and all that kind of stuff and those costs because it's peer-to-peer where people are actually only sharing 20 seconds of the song.
And the question I always ask here is, on social networks that are building around this sort of premise, how is it that you ensure that you're not just passing names and losing out on the rest of the transaction and capturing the conversations over your platform and not just ensuring that you've introduced them to an awesome human being and then they're going to go off and do their own thing?
Well, engagement on our platform is based on actual transactions. So you can sample snippets to your heart's content and not really be on the platform. You know, you're on the outside basically as a user, a surfer, an internet surfer, saying, "Oh, this is kind of interesting." Once you want to hear full content, well, then now you have to engage with the artist creator, and you have to initiate a peer-to-peer file sharing and payment mechanism, and you cannot share that with your peers until you actually transact.
So you have to make at least one transaction over the website in order to meet a person physically.
Well, connect.
Right. Take a telephone number, take an email address.
To become a user, you have to become like an Amazon customer too. You know, we basically have to know that, well, you're going to buy content. That's the only reason for you to be here. Okay. So therefore, we need a payment mechanism and payment information. And then once you start transacting with people, and the costs of transaction are minimal, right? Some people can give away their music. So we have a transaction here, but there's no money changing hands. But there's files changing hands, and it's being recorded. Okay? So that's why you have this digital ledger technology, because you want to be able to record the same things that Facebook and Google and Amazon do, but they have it in a black box. We have it in a public ledger.
It's an interesting mechanism. What I need to see proved out in order to understand it is that you have repeat customers, that they come back and they re-engage with the platform after that first transaction. And that it's the problem with the two-sided marketplace always, is once you've made an introduction, how is it that you make that customer sticky? How is it that they want to come back and then re-engage with you? Because in this instance, if you found a collaborative partner, why should I pay you anymore? Why should I continue to re-engage with the platform? And those kind of sticky users should be the core of your user base. They need to be continually re-engaging, finding new artists, finding new, whatever it happens to be that you're engaging with over the platform, that needs to be consistent and repeatable.
Well, once you are part of the Tuka social network, you have a feed. Okay, so now you've curated your feed, so the platform brings content to you that you like. So it's the same as Instagram feed or a Facebook feed.
And there's a machine learning algorithm that's going to sit behind that at some point in time?
There are certainly the need for some kind of machine algorithms, but I'd rather have you consider the fact that what we're doing here with this curation process and using tokens is that we're using the base of users to actually be the algorithm. It's actually people who are sharing these with their friends that are actually bringing content to people and creating these connections. It's kind of like a virtual recreation of how you first became aware of music in high school or college.
We have a founder within our cohort that you need to speak to.
Great.
Who do we have?
Ayinde, up next.
Oh, up next. Yeah, okay. That'd be interesting.
Who is creating a digital A&R platform.
Okay.
So for new artists who are coming up specifically through the Chicago rap scene at the moment. It's not an area that I know a huge amount about, evidently. But
well, rap and country are the two money-making genres in music these days.
So I understand, but unfortunately this is not my area of expertise.
As an Englishman, he's more of a country guy. You know, he remembers those years fondly with Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton. Even I know it's Dolly Parton.
Oh God! Really? See, that's not a good thing that you know that, by the way. I feel younger. I feel younger in seconds. So we always get back to the same thing, and for people listening here, this is also really important because they get to hear how an accelerator makes their decisions on who comes in and when they come in. And it may start to sound quite frustrating, especially for listeners who think, well, do accelerators always need traction? Do they always need to see proof? And the truth is, this is a little bit like, I've been trying to think of a good analogy, and I'm going to throw one from your neck of the woods, the Grand National, right?
Which nobody in this country knows what it is.
They don't know what it is.
It's the biggest horse race in the UK.
Let's describe why it's so perfect as an analogy for early stage startups, because there are impossible to jump fences, or extremely difficult fences to jump, right? What are they, 6 feet tall or something like that? 8 feet tall, right? So horses with jockeys are going to jump over, and there's probably 20, 25 of them.
And there's water, and there's all kinds of obstacles.
All kinds of things, right?
And people fall off all the time.
All the time, right? And people get hurt and things, right? So it's an incredibly exciting, emotional race to watch. And it's exactly what we do in early stage startup. So the reason that in some companies we really need to see traction and in other companies not so much is because when it comes to marketplaces, recruitment apps, event apps, dating apps, anything where there's either two-sided marketplaces or social media or where it's just very difficult to tell. It's a little bit like at the beginning of the Grand National where 10, 15, 20 horses all leave at the same time. And we know a horse is going to win, but we just don't know who it's going to be because the hurdles are so difficult to jump and the race is so long. So you almost want to wait, in some of the cases like yours, for the first or second fence so you can start to see what's happening within the field. Now, we believe you've done a really smart thing with General Assembly. We think we've done a really smart thing with USC. You've made $1 stretch to $1,000, which is absolutely fantastic, right? And you've done it all on your own. Also, really like what you've done with Pixel Exchange. When you have this site finished, which I want you to tell us in a second when that's going to be, the most important thing is adhering to what Alex said. It's everything. And we're already assuming you have your CTO in place, right? Because you're going to do that between now. You're going to leave this podcast now and say, okay, the guys, and they reflect everybody, are saying I need to have a CTO ready, at least on paper, perceptionally up there, right? So we're assuming that's a tick in the box. You're going to have somebody amazing who's going to be there. But then the second that site is finished, it's going to be about how many users can you get on? How sticky can you make it for those users? And how engaged are they going to be for Beautiful Boys and every other band that you have there? That's your gold. What you're talking about conceptually is extremely interesting. But the gold is the engagement that you have in that short period. And then you're going to find that accelerators like us and everybody else is going to come running to you.
The difficulty really is that if you're a non-technical founder and you're building something that is a pure tech product, there's always a concern. And the concern is that you're going to be outsourcing. You're going to be paying someone else to build this for you, and then it's going to be piecemeal. Do we have to have a CTO in place for every business that we invest in? Absolutely not. But if it's a non-technical founder building a technical product, I'm so much happier to have one in place.
Yeah. And so will the subsequent investors, by the way. So that's why it becomes like this beautiful thing that you don't have to do anything for. So I think, look, our general conception, our general consensus is, we like it. We like what you've built. We really, really, really like the way you've got here and how you've done it. And we desperately want to see you get CTO, who's going to be there, at least in name, at the beginning.
I want to continue this conversation.
Traction.
Yes.
I want to continue this conversation.
There's a lot more,
on the basis that you come back in a couple of weeks and we have another conversation on how it is that you spend $50,000 effectively to capture user base. Because our ticket size is $50,000.
Right.
And thinking through applying intellectual rigor into how it is that is spent and who it is that that's targeted at will be beneficial to you one way or another. And that will tell me whether or not I can actually be helpful through the accelerator program. This is a very good
sign. He only uses the words intellectual rigor when he's excited about something. It's a very good sign when Alex comes out with that.
I'm horribly British. But no, I'm very interested in this space. I'm worried about the niche that you're attacking. And you notice I'm not touching your tokenization because we'll go down a wormhole of
Sure.
Which is I think we should discuss that in 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
When you have a platform that warrants it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's let's continue the conversation because I have more to say. I think it's interesting, and I'd like to address one of the big problems with the niche, that there's some benefits for going after musicians because they're very motivated, they're easy to find, they tend to congregate, they're going through some serious pain points, very serious pain points where they so they're motivated.
But the very interesting thing about sitting on my side of the table as an accelerator, we've seen over 1,600 deals this year.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but people identify the same niches at the same point in time. I can tell you I've seen 10 people in your niche over the last 2 weeks. And I cannot tell you why this occurs, but there's a social zeitgeist that suddenly people are aware of and attack simultaneously.
The real problem with, now I'll get to the negative part of attacking this niche in music, is that the technology has offered this subsidized streaming for consumers, okay? And it's a drug, okay? Because it's subsidized by Spotify shareholders, by Amazon's core business, by Google's core business. And so the price of streaming is likely way too low in order to keep onboarding users. And in fact, for Spotify, a third of their users, I think, are free. So the problem is that I'm a consumer. I'm getting access to all the music I could possibly listen to, and it's costing me either $10 a month or less. So how do you get them to move over and say, okay,
you pay for the content. But although Patreon have done an exceptional job on that, I got to tick like their box.
I think that's an important indication. And I would say that there are ways to do this. Like my brother is a photographer, and he can't sell photographs because nobody wants to pay $300 to $500 for a photograph, a black and white art print. Yeah. But he's also a technologist, and he's retired, and he devised this shareware that helps people control their digital printers so that they control the amount of black and white inks on their paper. Okay, before, black grays on inkjet printers and those are basically less drops of black.
So
it's less black.
It's very interesting. I don't want to move too far away from you, but
Okay.
I do. But you do bring up, and we're just about to
Okay,
wrap
let
up.
me
so
make the
I want
point.
to wrap up with a very strong reinforcement
Yeah.
of why the time is absolutely right for what you're doing right now.
It's right because of these technologies that we're trying to integrate are coming together. And that's why it's right now. Whether it's the direction of social networking, the idea of having distributed ledger technology trying to come together. And I think the problem of Web 2.0, where it was basically a real estate land grab for data, to where it's like, no, we're going to be decentralized and people are going to retain their data and we're going to have to distribute the value in a different way. It's not going to be centralized so that you're not going to have a Facebook where it's a black box where Facebook basically grabs all the value.
So this is a data
Yes.
banking play within the music space.
Yes, a bit.
Nicely summarized. I like it.
So part of your business is a data banking play within that space.
It is the major part
Okay.
because
Yeah.
you're trying to say this is the way you make money in the information age, with information, not with selling that information, but using that information in a way that you sell other things.
The fun thing about accelerators is I now have about 10 people I want to introduce you to on the back of this conversation.
Yeah, that's to be fair, that's a very good point.
And that's why we enjoy doing this, is we get to meet interesting people with great businesses and then start to put jigsaws together. So hopefully we can make some introductions that are useful.
I love it. So let's finish off with this. I want to thank Alex Kisson, the owner of the Expert Dojo Fund. So all of the money that we deploy is deployed through Alex or through nobody. Michael, can you finish it up with us by giving your contact details so people are able to get in, are able to reach and make a connection with you, and then also details of the web. Can people see the website yet? Probably not.
It's
right?
up.
No, we have a landing page though. So we have it's www.tukaglobal. That's TUKAGLOBAL.
Very good.
.com.
Okay, very, very good. And then to contact you?
Contact me is info@tukaglobal.com.
Nice and simple, and using the domain, which is excellent. Michael, it's been a pleasure having you on here.
One last point, which Michael divulged to me earlier. What does Tuka stand for?
Tuka was picked as because I was searching for a nonsense syllable that no one would associate with anything else. And Tuka stands for the Ultimate Killer App, TUKA. The Ultimate Killer App.
Okay, that's
I loved
awesome.
Because we're trying
I like that, actually. That's really cool.
we're trying to generate the new renaissance based on connecting the creative.
I love it. It's a superhero name. It is a superhero name.
It is.
Oh no, here comes Tuka, the ultimate killer app.
You should see the book cover.
Hey, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap.
Thanks for joining us. If you love the podcast, please empower your circle by sharing these stories. The Art of Startup War is brought to you by Expert Dojo. And remember, we invest in startups, $50,000 checks. Make sure you apply on our site if you are one of those great entrepreneurs looking to bring your company to the next level. As far as the Art of Startup War is concerned, we are back every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. So remember, check out the new episodes. If you want to find out what the investors think, check out season 1 or 2. But make sure you join us every single week.